Let's go to chapter 11, verse 13. We can't have the parsha without studying the second paragraph of Shema, which is right here. Thera, good afternoon. Also, I want to say to everybody, God willing, next week on Sunday we'll be here, and Monday morning. But then I go to Israel through Thursday night, and God willing, Shabbos I'll be in Camp Mel for my nephew's Ofruf. So next week, if you were planning on coming, come on Sunday afternoon, or in the Shachar Sunday and Monday morning. Okay, no, I'll be back, God willing, for Rosh Chodesh Elul. Rosh Chodesh Elul is Sunday and Monday, and Monday morning is when we'll do the sunrise, because that's the first shofar blowing. Baruch Hashem, I can't wait. Yes. Okay, yeah, Dan has a question. Are you preparing the Torah for this week? Okay, good.
So it says here that
chapter 9, verse what?
Verse 20.
Okay.
So this is the calf that burned in fire and he didn't.
Yeah. We just had that in the daf. You me that post last Shabbos.
He took the broken pieces of the first tablets and he put them in the oven. Is that right? That's
the Gemara. The Gemara says the luchos and the tablets and the broken tablets are next to each other in the ark. Luchos v'shivri luchos minochem v'aron. So that's the Gemara. The Gemara says that the tablets and the broken pieces.
In a book called Only Disappointment, Rabbi Kushner uses the life of Moshe as a model for how to deal with this. He talks about obviously Moshe had lots of powers, but also lots of others. And he uses again life of Moshe and how he talks about how he gathered up the broken pieces, and even though that's maybe one of the 2 or 3 biggest disappointments of his life, he did break up. He gathered up the broken pieces and he kept them in the rows, along with the full tablets that of course he got later.
No, it's a very powerful teaching in the Gemara that the broken pieces are in the ark, and I always look at it as saying that the brokenness in life is holy, and also when sometimes people get old and they get broken, they're still holy and still have to be in the ark. That's the way I always read that. Okay, so thank you for that. So chapter 11, verse 13, this is the paragraph of the Shema, the second paragraph, which we recited in the morning and in the afternoon, or in the evening. If you'll listen to the commandments that I command you today, to love Hashem your God, serve Hashem your God with all your heart and with all your soul. So let's see what Rashi says here. Rashi says, Vayam Shemoah, Vaya Musav El Amor Lamala. The word Vaya is going back to which was stated above. It says, Limtara Shemayim Tishtem Mayim. By the rain of the heaven you'll drink water. And it's saying, if you'll listen, Natati Mitara Tzachem, and I'll provide the rain of your land. But if you don't listen, I'll stop the heavens. What does it mean? Vayam Shemoah Tishmeu? Im Shemoah biyashan. If there is listening to the old, Tishmeu b'chadash, you will listen to the new. Meaning to say, what does it mean? If you review, this is what the Gemara explains it. If you review the old, you will gain new insights. If you review that which you've studied, you'll gain new things. This is what we don't like to do today. We don't like to review our old studies. We say, okay, we already did this. A lot of people say, oh, I don't need to study the Rashi on the weekly portion. I've already studied it. I've done it so many times. Let me do the next thing. But no, the more you do it, the more you gain the new things. And also, when I'm noticing in my life is I read the Rashi differently when I'm 50 than when I was 40 and when I was 30. Like certain things speak to me much more. And I'm different, so Rashi is the same, but I'm different, and it impacts me differently. Did I cut you off there, Dan?
No, no, no. I was going to make exactly the point. There, um, there's someone that makes the point that each time we read the text, we are different.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And so it pays to read and review and review the point. The differences aren't only 30, 40, 50. His point is every time you come to the text.
For sure. It could be something that happened to you that day, etc. Well, let's see this beautiful Rashi. It says, "V'chein im shachoch teshkach." If forgetting, you will forget. Im itchalto eshkoach, sofcha shetishkach kula. If you start to forget, in the end, you'll forget everything. It goes very quickly. When you forget it all quickly. Shekin ketiv b'megillat chasidim. This is one of my favorite phrases. It's written in Megillat Chasidim. First of all, nobody's seen Megillat Chasidim. We don't know where it is or where it's from. But this is it's a very ancient work. In fact, I want to look it up on Wikipedia, see if they even have anything on it. But Chasidim. But the phrase here is the most powerful first. The phrase is, Im tazveni yom, yomayim ezveka. If you abandon me for a day, I will abandon you for two. Meaning to say, let's say you stop studying for one day, it takes 2 days to get back into it. Let's say you say, okay, I'm going to take a year off from religious life. It takes you 2 years to get back that year, not 1 year, but 2 years. And because it's like this, if you look at my fingers, we're here and God is here. So if we take a step this way, God takes a step that way. So it takes us double to reach back to God. And the phrase is like exercise. Let's say you have a routine of exercise. You exercise every day and you can run 5 miles. But then you stop exercising. For each day you stop, it takes you 2 days to make up to where you were before. For each day you go off your regimen, your discipline. Let me see, but where this Megillat Chasidim is, what they say in Wikipedia, because it's a very rare book. Chasidim. Let's see if they even have it in Wikipedia. Okay, so I'll look it up in the Hebrew Wikipedia. Maybe the Hebrew Wikipedia will have it. Megillat Chasidim. Megillat Chasidim.
I bet it's on Safaria.
Yeah, I don't know what that is on Safaria. I think what they have on Safaria is all they did was they took like all the quotations from it and published them in one space. But it's not. I want to see somebody who did like a scholarship on it.
By the way, the way somebody explained to me is you go a mile into the forest, and then yes, if you remember exactly how you went, then you could go back a mile. But most times you get lost a little bit, and it takes more than 2 miles to get back. So
Here, shkoyach. Here I found something. Here is what it says on this page. Somebody from Haifa, University of Haifa. Megillat Chasidim Hamusag Mofia Birushalmi Ubimakbilah. The concept appears in the Jerusalem Talmud, and also in the parallel sources. Nikret Kain, it's called the Megillat Chasidim Al Shem Milei de Chasidei, because it is pious words that are written in it. And then it quotes this Rashi as saying this phrase from Rashi. Sometimes it's called Megillat Starim. So they all they could say at the end of it is Kanira. It seems Sefer Chasidim Koel Musar v'Derech Eretz. It was like this ethical work, words of wisdom and words of piety, and it was lost over time. And that's all they have on it. Nobody knows anything about this work. This is the most famous phrase from it. This phrase, Im tazveni yom yomayim ezveka. I don't know anything about it. So interesting. I'm gonna gesundheit, bless you, chef. So I mean, it's bizarre. There's this very powerful phrase, source cited in Rashi. We don't know anything about it, and I never even thought about it until now. Okay, now the Rashi says that which I command you, shiyu alechem chad Hashem ki shamatim bo bayom. It says that which I command you today. What does it mean, that which I command you today? So Rashi says that these words, the words of the Torah, should be like the first time you're hearing them. It's like you heard them that day. They have to be new in your eyes. The first time you do a mitzvah, you're all excited. First time you learn a text or you learn the source, everybody's excited. But each day should be for you as if that was the day you heard it for the first time. That's the level of excitement that's needed. La'avat Hashem, to love God, to serve Him. La'avat Hashem. Shalom Tomar, you shouldn't say, I'm going to study so I'll be rich, or so that I'll be called a Rebbe, or so that I'll receive a lot of reward. Rather, all that you do, you should do out of love. And in the end, the honor will come. You shouldn't study in order to be rich. I'm going to tell everybody a story that happened to me this week, okay? You want to hear this story? So the story is that around a year and a half ago, there's this special, you see this in the Sephardic community. After the service, they pull out a parchment and they start to read it. So what is it? It's the ketores, the incense, the pitum ketores, because the Gemara says that each Kohen was only allowed to bring the ketores once. It was the segula for wealth. When you brought the ketores, the incense, you got rich. So therefore, everybody wanted to do it. So they only let everybody do it once. So now it's a segula for parnasa to read this passage of the ketores at the end of the service. And they draw us a beautiful menorah, which has Kabbalistic reasons. So somebody said to me, can you really write one for me? Because I want my business to do well. So I said, I don't believe in the segulas. I believe in Torah. This is a segula. I mean, the ketores, the fact that you bring the ketores is fine, but you can read it from a sitter. You don't have to read it. He said, no, it'll be very meaningful to him. And he's done a lot of beautiful things for me in my life. So I said, okay, I'll write it for you. It was like a year and a half ago. And since then, his stock went up 30%. So I'm like, it's totally nothing to do with me. I take no credit for it. So then obviously, but then this week, somebody called me, emergency. His business was in trouble and he begged me to write it. I'm like, I don't believe in this. But he begged me to do it. So I said, okay, for you, because again, it was somebody who's been there for me. So I said, okay, I'll do it for you. He said, it's a segula for parnasa. So I said, okay, I'll do it for you. So I wrote it. And then after I wrote it, I take a picture, I put it on my WhatsApp status. Then this guy, after I did that, this guy calls me up and says, can you write it for me? I said, no, I don't want I like writing Torahs. I don't like writing segulas. And he said, no, if you do it, I'm going to make a donation of $1,000 to the yeshiva. I still don't want to do it, but then I started thinking, okay, it takes me less than 2 hours to do it. So now I know what they mean when they say it's a segula for parnasa. It's a segula of parnasa of the sofer. The sofers get rich from it. And that's why it says that don't say I'm going to do this in order to be rich. I said I want to write Torah. I don't want to write segulas or the thing. But we'll see if this guy's business goes up. I'm not going to keep it to myself. I mean, if the Gemara says the Ketores you get wealthy. That's from the Gemara. So people read it in that manner, and then they think, okay, then it's the closest thing to bringing it. So I understand, but other people can do it. Who brought it that day? So, but it'll be like we brought it. It'll be like we brought it if we read it. It will be like we brought it. I think a segula for parnasa is to work hard, to love your work, to be careful, to don't spend a lot, to to be consistent, to be disciplined. That's the best segula. But you also have to be lucky. That's true. Okay, how you doing? Shkoyach, come on in. Here's a chumash. You have to serve God with all your heart. What is the service of the heart? How do you serve God with your heart? Anybody know? What's the service of the heart is one of the most famous phrases. What? Exactly, Fira. What's the service of the heart? Avoda shehi b'leiv v'zuhi tefillah. The service of the heart is prayer. So you serve God with your heart means to pray. Shetfila kriya avoda. Prayer is called a service. As it says, Elokach an plachla b'tadira. It says in the book of Daniel, your God, whom you are constantly serving. Was there service in Babylonia? Because he prayed, as it says, wow. This is a rebuke to me. I didn't even know this Rashi was coming, and this Rashi rebuked me and slapped me in the face. It says, may your prayer be as pleasing as incense before you. May your prayer be as pleasing as incense before you. Beautiful. So we see from here that if you bring the incense, that if you do the prayer, it's as though you brought the incense. Wow, wow, wow. Does everybody agree with me that that's a direct rebuke to me for minimizing the segula of the Ketorah? Wow. Baruch Hashem. Now we have messages straight from Hashem. Okay. You have to serve God with all your heart, with all your soul. But didn't already say that? He's here. So it's a warning for both an individual and the community. We're in chapter 11, verse 14, Jonah. Chapter 11, verse 14. I'll give you the rain in its season, Yorel Makosh, the early rain and the late rain, you'll gather in the crops, you'll gather in the crops and your wine and your oil. Rashi, you do your job, if you do your job, I'll do my job. Bito, what does it mean? What is the proper season for rain? Anybody know? You have to bear in mind, no. Okay, so you have to bear in mind, the Torah is written for Jews in the land of Israel. And in Israel, there's a rainy season. There aren't four seasons. There's the rainy season and the summer. So, but what does it mean? When's the best time for it to rain? Rashi says, Balayla, at night. Because then it doesn't bother you. If it rains while you're sleeping, that's the ideal time. Otherwise, it's annoying. And then he gives a second explanation. The best time for it to rain is Friday night. Because then nobody's traveling, everybody's in their homes. So that's when you want it to be the big storm. That's what happens. If you do the mitzvahs, it'll rain on Friday night. Of course, rabbis on Friday night are not so thrilled with the rain because that means, in the smaller communities, it means that less people are going to come to the prayer service. But anyway, in general, it's a good time. Yoreh, what's the Yoreh? He revia, hanofelas achar azriya, shemarves arts vesazraim. So there are different rains. There's the Yoreh and the Malkosh. The first rain, the early rain in the season, is called the Yoreh. That's Rashi says is the revia. Revia is also a word for intercourse in the Talmud. So this is like where you fertilize the seeds. You just planted the seeds, and now the rain comes down and has the initial interaction with it, and therefore it drenches the land after the dry summer. Malkosh, that's the late rain. Riviyah yoredes samachu katzir. That's the rain that comes before the harvest. Not too close to the harvest, but a little bit before. To fill out the grain in its stalks. Mashom Malkosh, Davar Mu'uchar. The meaning of Malkosh is that which is late. Okay. Alternatively, what's a Malkosh? Sheyored al Mililos Ma'ala Kashin. That it descends upon the Mililot and on the Kashin, the grains of the ears of grain and upon the stalks. And if you do this, you will gather it into your crops. We're chapter 11, verse 14. V'asafta diganecha. You'll gather in your crops. Rashi says, Atatas feno abayis v'ovecha. You will gather it in and not your enemies. As it states, Rashi cites the psukim. But there are other verses in the Bible where it says, Bnei Yisrael would sow and Amalek would reap. So if you do the mitzvos, then you're going to gather in your crops. Here you go, Colby. There's a chumash.
Why didn't he bring the verses from Kitavo, which say exactly that? Zeitim titav oivecha. I don't remember the exact words, but I do remember it says Zeitim titan and kramim and.
I don't know. We'd have to look at the commentaries on Rashi. It's a good question. Very good question. Colby, I'm very happy you're here. Did you get an earring today, a new earring?
No, I did not. I just didn't shave.
Oh, you had it the whole time.
Yeah.
Looks very beautiful on you. Very, very beautiful. Next time, get a bigger one.
No,
Like a big single gold loop.
no, that's just not it.
Okay. And you will give grass in your fields to your animals. And you'll eat and you will be satisfied. What does it mean, Colby? That I'll give grass in your fields to your animals? You won't need to lead your animals out to the wilderness. You're going to have the grass right there. Alternatively, you'll cut your crops all the rainy season and throw before your animals, and you will hold your hand from it, and you will not cut your crops 30 days before the harvest. You will not, yet your field will not decrease. Mean to say, even though you feed the livestock, you'll produce the same amount of grain. And now you have the next words, v'achalta v'savata. You'll eat and you'll be satisfied. What does that mean? Rashi says, Arezu bracha achreres, shetei bracha mitzuya bepas b'toch haymayim. What does this mean? This means, the bracha here is not that you'll have enough food, but that you'll be satisfied with all the food you have. That you will say, I have enough. That's what a line from the Great Gatsby. When he sees somebody who's very wealthy and he says, I have something he doesn't have. He said, what's that? Enough. Anybody remember that line? Somebody look it up on Google, you'll see it. I have something he doesn't have. What is it? Enough. Yishamiru lachem. Guard yourself, beware of yourselves. And if tell of Avchem, lest your hearts lead you astray, and you go worship other gods, and you go bow down to them. Rashi says, beware for yourselves. Since you're eating and are satisfied, beware for yourselves. You should not kick. Why do people rebel against God? Do they rebel against God because they're too poor? No. Do they rebel against God because they're starving? No. Rashi says a person only rebels against God. Rabbi Eliezer, why does he rebel against God? Only because he's too satiated. He's got too much in life. And then what does he think, Colby, when he has too much?
One more.
He thinks, I did this. The Ram with Avchav Shachachta. Then you get arrogant and you forget how you got there. So that's why he says, if you eat and you're satisfied, be careful. Ben Yiftel Avchem, lest your heart leads you astray. You go worship other gods. You think, I'm the one who did this. I did this success. It's my hard work. It's my genius that did this. That's the issue. That's the issue. Visartem. What does it mean to go astray, Kobe? Oh, what is that? The pancakes for the morning, Bear? Those are the high protein waffles and pancakes for the morning. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. This item with Rosh Minat Torah, you separate from the Torah, and as a result of that, you go worship other gods. Once a person separates from the Torah, where does he go? If you want to separate from the Torah, you know where you go? You don't just go nowhere. When you separate from the Torah, you know where you go? Chas v'sholom, you go and attach yourself to idolatry. That's the idea. Elohim achirim, shehem achirim of them. You go worship other gods. They are others to those who worship them. They don't hear them. They don't help them. They cry out to him. He doesn't answer them. Nimtza also elokin nachri. God becomes as a stranger to him who worships it. Okay. The Charaf Hashem b'chem, and God is angry at you. Yatzarat Hashemayim, and he stops up the heavens. Well, yeah, Matar, God will be angry at you. He stop up the heavens. There will not be rain. The earth will not give its yield. And you'll perish quickly. I want to point out that before we go into all the Rashis, how long did it take Moshe to go up the mountain? Because it says you will perish quickly. How long did it take Moshe to go up the mountain? 40 days and 40 nights. How long did it take to go down? 20 minutes. He built the mountain. He built it up for 40 days and 40 nights. And as Dan started at the beginning, when he broke the tablets, it took an hour. That's it. Went right down and all. When you fall quickly. You build your whole life for something. When it comes time to fall, it could all fall apart. That's why it has to be constant discipline, constant vigilance at all times. Because it's not like it will be a long fall. It'll be a very, very quick fall. I'm sorry if that's depressing to you, but that's the words of the Torah. You will perish quickly. You will perish quickly. Okay, let's dive in now. Let's dive in Mincha this time.